My name is Gu Panner. I was born under my parents' expectations, and unlike other families in the village, my family values daughters over sons. When I was 8 years old, my parents were worried that I would be lonely by myself, so they adopted a 6-year-old boy from the same clan. The family conditions were not good, and during high school, my parents treated us equally and let us all drop out of school, due to my excellent grades. The school teachers repeatedly advised me and promised to waive the tuition and miscellaneous fees. Panner, you took away your brother's opportunity to study. You must not forget Mom, Dad, and your brother in the future. I am grateful and study harder. During college, I used the money I earned from social media to buy a house for my family, but during the high-temperature apocalypse, my loving parents forced me out to search for food, citing a lack of food as the reason. They watched me die of heat right outside the door. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the pre-high temperature apocalypse. The Central Meteorological Observatory has issued an orange high temperature warning. It is expected that on June 6, the highest temperatures in cities such as Beijing and Shanghai will reach 43 degrees. Citizens are advised to take precautions against heat and avoid heatstroke. A familiar voice rang in my ears, and I suddenly jumped up from the sofa. In my excitement, I accidentally kicked over the coffee table, and things scattered all over the floor. My hand was pinched hard, and I turned to see my mom looking very unhappy. Panner, why are you so startled? Don't scare Ting. Zhang Ting is my brother's fiancée. After their engagement, she moved into my house. Under the pretext of cultivating feelings, I bit my lip, squatted down, and started to pick up the fruits that had rolled all over the ground, out of the corner of my eye. I noticed that the three of them remained motionless, showing no intention of helping to clean up, and the vague parts in my mind gradually became clear. The palm and the back of the hand are both flesh, but the palm is always clenched to be protected. Mom and Dad, I'm feeling a bit unwell, I'm going back to my room, Mom replied casually without turning her head. After returning to the room, I bit my own hand and it hurt. I have really been reborn, this is not a dream. A row of bite marks appeared on the back of a hand that was very rough from doing household chores, but there were no burn scars from high temperatures on the hand. In my previous life, I collapsed at the door of my house, and no matter how much I cried and shouted, I couldn't open the door to the house I bought with my hard-earned money. When I died, I even vaguely smelled the scent of my flesh burning. I wiped away my tears with the back of my hand. There are still half a month left until the end of the world, and everything is still manageable. At the dining table, my mom smiled and first picked up 2 chicken legs, giving one to Dad and one to my younger brother. Then she picked up 2 chicken wings for Zhang Ting, while my bowl awkwardly hovered in the air. In the past, my mom always said that there was too much chicken leg meat for me to finish, and every time she would give me the chicken wings, seeing that I looked off. Dad cleared his throat and said, "Come on, Panner, have a piece of braised pork. This meat is delicious." I looked at the shiny fatty meat in the bowl, feeling a bit nauseous, and didn't take a single bite, just ate a few mouthfuls of rice in silence. After dinner, I followed my younger brother and the others to the sofa, and my mom grabbed me and said, "Panner, where are you going? The bowls haven't been cleaned up yet. You're so lazy. If you marry into a family like this, won't you be despised? If you get sent back, we won't have a place for you to stay." Mom always says this, as if I am not her daughter, but just the daughter-in-law of her son-in-law who is far away. Dad sat on the sofa peeling lychees and said disapprovingly, "Panner, don't listen to your mom's nonsense. You're Daddy's little princess, and your room will always be reserved for you. If you're not feeling well today, just wash up and rest early." I always thought my family was different from other families in the village. My family values daughters more than sons. My younger brother was adopted to keep me from being lonely. He eats chicken legs while I have chicken wings, and every time there are fun toys or nice clothes, they are given to me first. Even the opportunity to go to school was given to me, and I have always felt guilty about it. Many of my playmates in childhood envied me, envied that when I had a dispute with my brother, my parents wouldn't just force me to give in to him, envied that I had the opportunity to study, unlike them, who married early and even had to give up the rooms they had lived in since childhood for their nephews. until the high-temperature apocalypse arrived. My parents were getting old, my younger brother was still young, and Zhang Ting had not yet married in, so I became the one who should go out to buy food without hesitation. The food I found in the 50-degree heat was consumed by them without restraint in just a few days, without any concern for my exposed skin being sunburned and developing large blisters. My parents cried and begged me to go out and look for food again. It's only been a few days, and I'm already 60. I looked at the human-shaped jerky outside the window and refused to leave the house, but 2 fists can't fight against 4 hands, and they ruthlessly pushed me out the door. I gritted my teeth and walked out of the building, but after just a few steps, my shoes melted. In fear, I ran back to knock on the door, only to be painfully burned to death outside. As my thoughts turned, I sweetly smiled at my dad and brother, who hadn't moved an inch, and said, "Then you guys help Mom clean up." I slipped back to my little room, pretending not to hear my mom scolding in the living room. When I was young, I felt sorry for my mother working hard. So I took my younger brother to help, but my mother said my brother was still small and a boy, so it was better for me to do the work quickly, and then I took on the household chores by myself for more than 10 years. After washing up, I comfortably lay on the bed and opened WeChat to contact the sales manager I had communicated with before. "The villa I saw last time has dropped by another 200. I can pay in full tomorrow. My family has been renting a house in the city for many years, and we only have a self-built house in the countryside that leaks water on rainy days. My mom often complains that she envies other families' daughters who have succeeded, who graduated from middle school and went out to work, earning a lot of money to renovate their homes. So when I was in college, I took advantage of the rise of social media and used my first earnings to buy this small 3-bedroom apartment in my parents' name. This year, after my younger brother got engaged, my mom started worrying that the house was too small to live in, so I went to the sales office several times for this villa that I had my eye on, which was originally a surprise for my parents. The next day, I made an excuse to go out early to shoot a video, and after paying the house payment and completing the transfer, I felt at ease looking at the property deed in my hand. In the high-temperature apocalypse, the most scarce resources are water and food, followed by electricity. Villas are very convenient for stockpiling food and generating power. This Chinese villa is of Hui-style architecture, with blue tiles and white walls, small bridges and flowing water, pavilions and corridors, beautiful like a poem or a painting, but not safe enough in chaotic times. What is more terrifying than ghosts and gods is the human heart. I quickly contacted the renovation company, and under the influence of cash flow, the designer brought the renovation plan and the workers arrived the same day. I took a glance at the beautiful white wall, increased the height and thickness of this wall, and then cover it with broken tiles, replace that antique-style door with a bank vault door that is fireproof, theft-proof, and vandal-proof. The designer looked troubled. "A mess, goo. Changing it like this might not look good for the entire villa's exterior. What's more important than my life, in the chaos of my past life?" The evil of human nature was greatly stimulated. They could do anything, from murder to arson to robbing resources. The gaze turned to the house. Replace all the doors and floor-to-ceiling windows on the first floor with vault doors, replace the glass windows on the second floor with bulletproof glass, and then install insulation materials throughout the entire building. The designer does not agree with my aesthetic, but cannot go against God's ideas. After he left, I looked at the stunned crowd and said to a person who looked like a small leader, "Please cover the entire villa above with an electric net." He looked troubled and said, "MS, goo. In principle, installing the power grid requires approval." I understood. "Add 100,000, the responsibility is mine." He smiled obsequiously and said, "But rules are dead, and people are alive." After I finished giving instructions, I drove the rented van to the market to buy 2 generators and 4 large freezers, and then quickly headed to the largest supermarket in the area. I pushed the shopping cart and frantically stocked up in the supermarket. 10 boxes of instant noodles, 10 boxes of self-heating hot pot, and 10 boxes of self-heating rice. I changed to an empty shopping cart and came to the vegetable and fruit area. Since vegetables and fruits are not easy to store, I just bought a few random items. Next, We came to the meat section, where we piled up pork belly, ribs, beef, lamb, chicken, and large shrimp, and also weighed a lot of handmade dumplings and fish balls, etc. Finally, I arrived at the snack area, and I put all my favorite snacks like potato chips, cake, chocolate cookies, and cola into the shopping cart. Seeing the more than 10 shopping carts in front of him at checkout, he felt a bit troubled, and the supermarket manager came over. "Madam, we can deliver to your home if you spend a certain amount in our supermarket," I responded repeatedly, falsely claiming that I planned to return to the countryside to open a store, and that all these supplies could be delivered to the outskirts of the city. Then, when settling the bill, I ordered an additional 100 barrels of purified water. On the way back driving, I bought common medicines such as Huixiangjingqi water and fever patches when I passed by the pharmacy. More than 10 days later, I looked at the villa, armed to every corner, with the indoors filled with supplies, and I cried out of joy. This time, I won't be driven out of my home by anyone. Just as I entered the house, my mom, who was washing clothes on the balcony, rubbed her waist and said in a sarcastic tone, "My daughter is really a busy person, coming and going all day long. I can't even see her shadow. Poor me, at my age, working so hard that my back can't even straighten up." In the basin are Gu Tianxi's clothes. He has sensitive skin and is prone to allergies. His mother feels sorry for him, so all his clothes are hand-washed. In the past, I even washed his outerwear and underwear. I didn't take over from my mom with the usual heartache. Instead, I directly grabbed a pillow and threw it at Gu Tianxi, who was watching the show. "Didn't you hear? Mom has been washing your clothes so much that her back can't straighten up." Gu Tianxi had never suffered such grievances. His expression immediately darkened, and he rushed over with a fierce look in his eyes. Raising his hand, I sneered, "If you dare to hit me today, just wait to sleep on the street when the mortgage payments stop." With his hand forced to stop in mid-air, Gu Tianxi shouted angrily and kicked over the trash can. After I returned to my room, I drank an entire bottle of mineral water to suppress the anger in my heart and the dryness in my throat. After tossing and turning for a few hours, I still decided to inform them to stock up on some supplies in the next couple of days. I stood outside the door, took a deep breath, and was just about to knock. If I had known back then, I shouldn't have let that little brat go to school. Now that she has grown wings, she actually dares to hit my precious son. The father's deep voice carried a hint of displeasure. If it weren't for the fact that Tianxi forced me to the brink of death back then and refused to go to school, where would she have had the opportunity to study? At that time, it was only because old Wang's daughter was a college student that the bride price was 1 million. Otherwise, I can no longer tolerate it, and pushed open the door. Otherwise, what? Mom and Dad, I am your biological daughter. Have all the good things you've done for me over the years been to make me wholeheartedly pave the way for Gu Tianxi? Dad changed his usual friendly demeanor towards me and said with a gloomy face, "So what? How can you compare yourself to Tianxi? He is the root of our old Gu family. If I had known you would be successful now, you wouldn't even think about helping your brother. It would have been better if you had drowned in the river back then, saving Tianxi some money." The bond of affection in my heart has completely broken. I took a few steps back and slammed my back against the door. "Fine, since this family can't accommodate me, I'll leave, and it won't bother you." I am dragging my suitcase down the road. It is already 6 in the afternoon, but the temperature is still. But what is even more terrifying is yet to come. Tomorrow the temperature will rise to a dreadful 50, and the era of extreme heat officially begins. After I returned to the villa, I activated all the defense systems, turned on the air conditioning, and waited quietly for the end of the world to arrive. I comfortably slept until I naturally woke up on the 2.5-meter big bed, squinting my eyes and groping for my phone on the bedside table. It is 11 o'clock. The Central Meteorological Observatory has issued an orange high-temperature warning. It is expected that today the highest temperature in many places across the country will reach 50 degrees. Citizens are advised not to go out unless necessary to avoid heatstroke. The high-temperature apocalypse officially arrives today. Just like in the previous life, outdoor workers and most units have completely stopped working, and schools have announced a suspension of classes. I stepped barefoot on the carpet, pulled open the bedroom curtains, and for a moment the sunlight was so bright that I couldn't open my eyes. The indoor temperature rose several degrees instantly. And I was so scared that I quickly closed the curtains tightly. I've been a bit tired running back and forth supervising these days, so I casually made a self-heating hot pot and squeezed a cup of watermelon juice. I sat in front of the bar, picked up a piece of fatty beef and put it in my mouth, then cast the surveillance screen to the living room TV. Because my parents are getting older, I'm afraid something might happen to them when they're home alone. So the entire small 3-bedroom apartment is filled with surveillance cameras, and now it's just right for watching the excitement. In the surveillance, Mom got up at 7 o'clock as usual to prepare breakfast. After she opened the refrigerator and looked at the little food left, she glanced at her phone, hesitated for a moment, and finally gritted her teeth and knocked on Gu Tianxi's door. Gu Tianxi opened the door with his bare arms, yawning, and said impatiently, "Mom, didn't I tell you? I'm not having breakfast." Mom smiled sweetly and said, "Tianxi, the weather is so strange today. It's only 7 o'clock and it's already 45. I was thinking, why don't we all go to the supermarket together to buy some more groceries, so we don't have to go out these days?" Gu Tianxi turned around, closed his eyes, and fell onto the bed. He pushed Zhang Ting. "I'm dizzy, you go with Mom and bring me some cola and chicken feet." Zhang Ting was somewhat reluctant, mumbling, "Why isn't the eldest aunt going?" Mom sneered. "That little brat had a fight with us yesterday and ran away from home. Otherwise, how could I bear to let you go?" I bit into the urine beef ball with resentment. My mother didn't call me that way in my past life. She said I was the pillar of the family. It was nearly 10 o'clock when Mom and Zhang Ting returned home in a disheveled state. Mom is carrying a bag of noodles in her left hand and some meat in her right hand, while Zhang Ting is just holding a bag of cola and marinated dishes. Gu Tianxi frowned and took a bottle of cola to drink. "Why did you two only buy such a little bit?" Zhang Ting, feeling wronged, revealed her sunburned skin. "Tianxi, you don't know, the supermarket is full of people, all fighting for goods. These were hard to grab even with the aunt." Gu Tianxi held her in his arms and walked towards the bedroom, not looking back as he said, "Mom, make some braised spare ribs for lunch." Mom's face is sunburned and red, and the exposed skin on her body is even peeling, but I'm not there, and no one will care for her. In the previous life, it was my mom and me who went out to buy groceries, but as soon as we left the community, she felt uncomfortable in the sun. I felt sorry for her and quickly told her to go home. And in the end, I carried a box of instant noodles and a large fan of ribs back under the scorching sun. I am sunburned all over, and it hurts like hell when I take a shower. Mom felt a bit down while monitoring, but she was worried about her son and didn't have time to feel upset, so she went to the kitchen to wash her hands and cook. Zhang Ting, with her face covered in aloe vera gel, came out smelling the fragrance. "Auntie has cooked so many dishes. It's a pity that my sister-in-law is not here, or we could enjoy them." Mom had a face full of resentment and said through gritted teeth, "It's just as well she's not here. It saves some food." Zhang Ting wanted to say something else, but her father directly tapped the bowl, and she fell silent. I glanced down at the self-heating hot pot. Not interested. Hot pot is quite delicious, just a bit greasy. Turn off the screen mirroring. I made a fruit salad, and I'm starting to scroll through Weibo. Regarding the unusually high temperatures, Weibo is discussing it fervently. I opened the trending topics, and hashtag high temperature apocalypse hashtag is currently at the top of the charts. Is there anyone else besides me who has been reborn, and does everyone already know that the high temperature apocalypse has arrived? I hurriedly clicked in. Why has the weather been so hot these days? It was already 40 degrees at 7 o'clock this morning. This morning I went to the supermarket and everyone was frantically grabbing vegetables, making it feel like the end of the world. In recent years, glaciers have melted, and a certain country has had wildfires that have not been extinguished for months. Now the temperature is so strange. Is it really the end of the world? Ha ha ha. If it really is the end of the world, I need to hurry up and spend all my money. It seems that netizens are not aware that the apocalypse has really come. They are just talking casually. I thought about it and forwarded that post about the glacier to my Weibo and WeChat. commenting, "Should we stock up on food for the apocalypse?" Having seen the malice of human nature in a past life, this time I dare not be too blatant even in my reminders. WeChat lit up for a moment. Zhang Ting, still talking about the end of the world. Sister-in-law, have you read too much and gone silly? It's really hard to advise a damned ghost with good words. On the third day of the apocalypse, the city government issued a notice. Due to dry temperatures, short circuits have occurred in multiple districts. To alleviate the pressure on electricity usage, time-based electricity consumption will be implemented. Each district has only 2 hours of electricity usage, and our area is from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. I quietly plugged in the generator, and to avoid drawing attention, I moved to the first floor without windows, so that no one would notice the light. As soon as this notice was issued, there was a wail online and in the WeChat group. The internet-addicted teenager Gu Tianxi smashed the computer with a punch in anger, cursing, "What can you do with 2 hours of electricity a day? It's so hot now that we can't even turn on the air conditioning." I sneer in my heart, "Go ahead, the worst is yet to come." On the 5th day of the apocalypse, the temperature has risen from 50 to 60. Even more unacceptable is that the city government has issued another notice stating that due to the depletion of rivers and lakes, water will be cut off in 6 hours. This time, no one complained. Everyone was busy collecting water with all available containers, thinking about the inconvenience of washing up after the water is cut off. I washed my hair well and took a bath, then filled the bathtub with water to flush the toilet. I was eating steak and watching short videos in the evening when a long-lost phone call came in. "Tanner, where are you now?" That day, Mom and Dad were wrong. They shouldn't have said that. "You really have a bad temper, to run away from home over such a small matter." Having died once, I was not deceived by my father's gentle voice and retorted, "I'm doing well outside, so just say what you need to say. It's not safe for a girl like you to be outside. You should hurry back while it's still late at night. By the way, the food at home is almost finished, so you might as well stop by the supermarket to buy some rice and flour and meat. And also bring back a few bottles of purified water." So it turns out you were waiting for me here. If I saved the food that Mom bought last time, it would last me 10 days to half a month without any problem. But her precious son is used to eating and drinking extravagantly. How could he endure a life of frugality? I chewed on the steak and replied vaguely, "I don't have 3 heads and 6 arms. How can I carry so many things? Besides, I have night blindness, and now that the power is out, I can't see anything. You guys go buy it yourselves, then you go buy it tomorrow at noon." In broad daylight, I hung up the phone with my left hand. I was diagnosed with night blindness in middle school, but my family is poor. We only have 150 for food each month. Where would we find money to treat this not too serious illness? However, Gu Tianxi does not have night blindness. He grew up taking cod liver oil and various nutritional supplements. His mother said he needed to be strong to protect me. 2 more days passed, and it was already the 7th day of the high-temperature apocalypse. The road was so hot it was steaming, and the trees by the roadside were ignited by the sunlight, turning into dry wood. The continuous high temperatures, water and electricity outages, along with the lack of food, have led to widespread wailing online, and people are in a state of panic. A couple of days ago, a streamer specifically went out at noon to live stream outdoors, gaining a large amount of traffic, but unfortunately, after returning home, they suffered from heat stroke and passed away. Once the news spread, no one dared to go out casually anymore. The owner group of the small third residence is very lively, with most people seeking food at high prices. Which neighbor has extra instant noodles? I am willing to buy a box for 1,000 yuan. Please, kind neighbors, sell some food. There are children at home, and we haven't eaten for 2 days. The price is negotiable. The villa area owners group is no exception, with news constantly popping up about exchanging golden Hermes bags for pork and cabbage. In my previous life, I was the one pushed out to buy groceries today, and then I was left outside forever. I'm not sure how long this high-temperature apocalypse will last, but the supplies in the basement are enough for me to eat for a few years without any problem. And I believe that the flower-growing country will not ignore us. This apocalypse will eventually pass. They boiled the last noodles in the surveillance yesterday, and now they are out of supplies. Someone must go out to find food. I prepared a table of dishes and calmly waited for their call. The WeChat video call arrived as scheduled, and as soon as I connected the call, I saw my mother's haggard face. "Tanner, where are you? Don't you know that Mom and Dad haven't eaten for several days and are almost starving? You are really heartless, not even coming back to see us." "Oh, it seems they planned to trick me back first," Zhang Ting, whose face looked pale, suddenly exclaimed. "Sister-in-law, you have a villa as your background and you actually hid it from us while enjoying life there alone." I took a turn with my phone and specifically captured the oil-braised prawns and sweet and sour ribs on the table. Gu Tianxi swallowed, his eyes full of desire. "Sister, you actually live alone in such a nice house, and there's so much good food. I haven't eaten meat for several days. Can you drive over and bring me some food?" It's rare to hear him speak to me in such a tone. It's really refreshing. I deliberately sighed. "Mom, you used to say that the mistress couldn't stay here, and this villa was originally a surprise for you. But since that home can't accommodate me, I can only reluctantly live here alone." Gu Tianxi glared at his mother fiercely when he heard that the villa he had gotten was gone. Mom's face turned very ugly, and she said hesitantly, "Tanner, it's still because you hurt your brother that I said a few harsh words in anger at that time. I am your mother. How can you hold a grudge against me? All these years have really been in vain. Mom, you live in the house I bought. My brother drives the car I bought, and even the 300,000 yuan betrothal gift for Zhang Ting was paid by me. You are raising Gu Tianxi, not me, and I am too far away from you, so it's not convenient for me to go over. You can figure it out yourselves." As soon as the video call ended, Dad cursed in the surveillance footage. "She should have been thrown into the river to drown back then. The neighbor's Xiaodi brought a brother the next year, but she, on the other hand, didn't bring a brother and just watched my mother die without helping. There is a bit of bitterness in my heart. Over the years, many people show a sympathetic expression when they hear my name. Every time this happens, I proudly say that I am the hope of hope, born under the expectations of my parents." Gu Tianxi was very hungry and irritably tugged at his mom. "Mom, it seems that we can't count on that bitch anymore. You go buy some groceries. If it weren't for you angering her, we could have been enjoying a big meal in the villa with the air conditioning on." Mom was shocked and shook her head continuously, but suddenly her eyes lit up and she pointed at Zhang Ting and said, "Let Tingting go buy it. She's been eating and drinking for free for so long. She should contribute a bit." Zhang Ting's face was pale as she clutched her chest and vomited a few times. "Auntie, my period is a week late. I'm fine, but what if something happens to the baby?" Dad heard this and directly made the decision. "If I tell you to go, you go. Who told you that your ungrateful daughter didn't bring us food?" Mom sat down on the ground with a thud, slapping her thigh and crying out, "You heartless ones, are you trying to send me to my death?" Dad and younger brother exchanged a glance, and together they lifted Mom and threw her out the door. Gu Tianxi has not wasted all these years of nutritional supplements. He is tall and strong, and his mother can't break free at all. With a bang, the door closed. Mom wiped her tears and trembled as she walked down the stairs and out of the unit. Just 100 meters out, the scorching sun made her sweat profusely. She was scared and hurriedly ran back, but part of her shoe melted, and she slipped and fell to the ground. As soon as her face touched the scalding ground, it was burned and covered in countless small blisters. Mom screamed in agony, trying to get up but had no strength. Dad stood by the window and saw this scene rush downstairs, but when he opened the unit door, the heat that hit him pushed back the foot he had just extended. Mom's struggling hand fell to the ground, silent, just 100 meters away. If Dad and Gu Tianxi rushed over, they could have saved her. After Dad returned to the house, he hugged Gu Tianxi with a pained expression and said, "Son, your mother is gone." "Dad, what should we do now? What are we going to eat?" Dad looked at him in disbelief. "Your mom is dead. How can you think about eating? It's so hot outside. How can you go out? Just endure it." After speaking, he returned to the bedroom and closed the door, his back looking as if he had aged 10 years in an instant. I looked at the delicious food on the table and suddenly felt it was tasteless, so I put it all in the fridge. At 8 o'clock in the evening, the sun has not set, and the temperature remains high. It turns out that wildfires and glacier melting are really omens. I didn't believe it at the time, and now I can only wait to die. What's even more frustrating is that I haven't spent all my money yet, and now I can't even spend it. In these years, humanity has been continuously destroying the environment. Is nature punishing us? Human beings are like a virus on the blue planet. It seems that it can no longer tolerate it and has activated its elimination defense mechanism. Everywhere online there are negative and desolate voices, feeling hot and hungry. And seeing no hope, 2 days later, the city government announced exciting news: artificial rain would begin in 1 hour. Meeting sweet rain after a long drought is indeed one of the 4 great joys in life. The clouds are rolling, and big drops of water are falling. Even though I don't lack water, I happily ran to the yard to enjoy the rain, and cheers could be heard nearby. The rain lasted for an hour, and the temperature dropped by 10 at all owners. The food packages issued by the government have arrived. Owners in need can deduct one in the group, and we are now arranging for robot delivery. I didn't reply in the group because I have enough food stored. There's no need to waste resources. It's better to leave it for those who need it more. People in the group keep posting pictures to express their gratitude. The food package contains 4 packs of instant noodles and 2 bottles of water. I checked the group for the third party. And the property management is also notifying everyone to go pick up food. The group is cheering. My feelings are complicated. It turns out that my mother and I from a past life fell just 2 days before dawn. Seeing the dawn, I was in a good mood and slept until noon the next day. I groggily opened my phone, and the owner group was already in an uproar. The temperature has risen to 60 again. Why hasn't there been artificial rain today? Is there no food package today? We finished yesterday's. Some people even sent me private messages through the friend request dialog on WeChat. Hello, I noticed you didn't pick up food in the group yesterday. Do you have any extra food on your side? The elderly and children at home are feeling very hungry. Can you sell me a little? Seeing this message, I feel very conflicted. The elderly and children have weak constitutions, and I want to help him a bit, but I'm afraid it might lead to trouble. In the hesitation, that person directly at me in the group, causing a stir. This owner is new. I live next door to her. In the few days since she moved in, the van has been coming in and out, so there must be food at home. Little girl, you understand the principle that when the lips are gone, the teeth are cold, right? If you have food, you should share a bit. We are all neighbors. Quick, look at her moments. She already guessed the apocalypse and stocked up in advance. This sentence pushed the atmosphere in the group to a climax. And more people joined in the attack on me. My heart sank to the bottom. Now, explaining anything is useless. It is now the time when the sun is the most intense, and they dare not act rashly. I must prepare before the sun sets. I turned over, got up quickly to wash up, then casually made some food and went to the study. Last year, I filmed some horseback archery scenes for work, to better complete the project. I specifically stayed on the grassland for more than half a year to practice horseback archery and even participated in horseback archery competitions. Although the competition results are not as good as the natives, we only received a participation award, but it's enough to deal with them. I drew the bow and aimed at the red center of the target, the 10 ring. The sun slowly set as I strapped on my bow and arrows, holding an iced Americano and bread, and arrived at the sloped attic. The view here is the best, allowing for a comprehensive perspective. A few people in the surveillance footage were sneaking around with a folding ladder heading towards my yard. After looking around, they set the ladder against the yard wall. I turned on the electric fence switch above the yard and then held the bow and arrow ready. The first person just climbed up the wall, stepped on the broken porcelain pieces on top, and his face turned red from the pain as he screamed and fell directly from the wall. The second person learned from his experience, directly jumped from the ladder onto the power grid, and then was shocked by the power grid, trembling all over, with his hair standing on end. He had just wanted to climb up when the third person who climbed the ladder stepped on his body and moved forward, instantly falling onto the electric net, his whole body charred from the electric shock. I aimed at the third person, and the arrow flew past his temple. If you take one more step forward, the next arrow will hit you in the head. Seeing that he was a bit hesitant, I drew the bow and arrow again, and he was so scared that he stepped on his companion and ran away again. This person is really ruthless. Fortunately, the other two in the team couldn't stand it and took the person from the electric net away. I breathed a sigh of relief. But I didn't know if there would be a second wave of people coming. I took a sip of coffee and had stayed up all night, looking at the rising sun. My eyes could barely open, and I just fell to the ground and slept. To save electricity, the air conditioning on the second floor is not turned on, and I was rudely awakened by the heat. I rubbed my slightly sore hand, ate barbecue, drank iced cola, and scrolled through the messages in the group. Yesterday, those people were arguing fiercely in the group, while the others were condemning the third person for being ruthless. However, after this incident, I believe no one in the community would dare to have any ideas about me. After all, no one is willing to use their own life as a stepping stone for others. I then opened the group for the small third room, and a red exclamation mark along with several videos caught my eye. The video broadcast is calling for each person to receive a pack of instant noodles and a bottle of water, but Gu Tianxi is shouting that Zhang Ting is pregnant, so they need to receive 2 portions of supplies. The person distributing the supplies disagreed, and they have been at a standstill. The people waiting in line under the scorching sun became impatient, urging him to finish quickly and leave. Gu Tianxi has a hot temper and shouted loudly with a flushed face and thick neck, but the others did not indulge him. A strong man with a tattoo on his arm directly started arguing with him. The strong man was so enraged that he directly pulled out a small knife and stabbed at Gu Tianxi. Gu Tianxi was so scared that his face turned pale, and at the critical moment, he quickly pulled his father beside him. Dad fell to the ground after being stabbed, spitting fresh blood, his face full of fear and regret, mumbling "Panner." The crowd next to them screamed and dispersed. Gu Tianxi, seeing this, pulled Zhang Ting and ran away with the supplies without looking back, not even glancing at his father's injuries. I took a deep breath and dialed the property management's phone number. "Okay, sorry to trouble you. I can't go back for now, but I will go to claim it after I return. Thank you." In a high-temperature apocalypse, the hospital is overcrowded. Medical resources are insufficient, and my father died without treatment. My parents' bodies were taken away by the property management. Last time I had a fight with my parents, they said that Gu Tianxi was the root of the Gu family, but now their beloved son has caused their deaths and didn't even collect their bodies. I wonder if my dad regretted adopting Gu Tianxi when he fell to the ground calling my name. I suppressed the surging emotions in my heart and opened the surveillance video from the past 2 days at the mistress's place. After returning home, Zhang Ting anxiously asked Gu Tianxi, "Tianxi, what should we do now? Are we going to jail?" Gu Tianxi's eyes revealed lingering fear, and he gritted his teeth and said, "We didn't kill him, so what are we afraid of? Besides, he's not my biological father. If he dies, he dies. And we even get an extra supply." There has been no distribution of supplies in the past 2 days, and 3 portions of supplies for 2 people are still not enough. I made a video call, and Gu Tianxi answered the call with an excited expression. In the video, his hair is greasy and tangled together, his face is shiny with oil, and he is panting heavily from the heat. "Sister, are you not angry anymore and going to bring me food? I've been hungry for several days and I'm about to starve." I picked up a sizzling grilled chicken wing. "Do you want to eat it?" Gu Tianxi looked at her with longing. "I want to eat, sister, I'm begging you." I sneered. "You killed my parents, and you expect me to bring you food?" He froze in place, and then his expression darkened as he slapped Zhang Ting, leaving a red handprint on her fair face. "Sister, it's all this bitch's fault. If it weren't for her stirring up trouble because she was pregnant, Mom wouldn't have gone out to find food. And Dad wouldn't have been stabbed. She caused Mom and Dad's deaths," Gu Tianxi said as he walked towards her, and Zhang Ting covered her face and cried while dodging. "Enough, your parents raised you for a lifetime. Bow to their photos a few times to show your appreciation." He knelt down with a bang towards the family photo, his head heavily hitting the ground, again and again, causing red marks to appear on his forehead. But he didn't dare to stop until I spoke. I sighed deeply, facing his hopeful gaze. "When I was young, my parents always said they adopted you for my sake. I was afraid you wouldn't adapt and would feel wronged, so I let you have your way everywhere. Now I realize that the unnecessary person is me. With our parents gone, we don't need to stay in touch anymore. I no longer paid attention to his heart-wrenching screams, hung up the video call, and turned off the surveillance. Their matters I no longer want to know. The community has not distributed supplies again, and the two owner groups have gradually fallen silent. At first, someone couldn't resist the temptation of money and sold food at a high price, but unfortunately, they caught someone's attention and suffered a home invasion robbery, losing both themselves and the food. Since then, no one dared to let others know that they had food. And later it developed to the point where they didn't even dare to let anyone know that there were still living people in this house. A month later, dark clouds gathered, thunder rumbled, and heavy rain poured down. The high-temperature apocalypse finally came to an end. I received a call from the police, asking me to go to the police station. It turns out that Zhang Ting was not pregnant. After she got her period, she was worried about being retaliated against by Gu Tianxi. And without hesitation, she stabbed him to death while he was asleep. When the police broke in, the room was filled with the stench of corpses, and Zhang Ting sat on the ground with a dazed expression, chewing on rotten flesh. Zhang Ting was sentenced to life imprisonment for intentional homicide. I went to the police station to claim Gu Tianxi's body, which was sent to the crematorium along with my parents' bodies stored at the property management office. I bent down and placed a bouquet of chrysanthemums in front of my parents' tombstone, then respectfully bowed several times. The past is dark and cannot be pursued. A new life is about to begin. I am Gu Panner, the Gu Pan of shining brilliance.